All right. So it's 2 minutes past 4 p.m. Um, that means it's time to start the webinar of today, which is about space opportunities for climate challenges. If you are a familiar user of the webinars, then you might notice that I'm not the usual host of this series of webinars. That is Remco. He is enjoying a well-deserved holiday, so I will take over for today. He will be there here next month again, so don't worry. Then I would like to welcome everybody. Special welcome to our speakers of today. We are really happy that you are here and that you are going to present about today's topic. But first, let me tell something about today's setup and the webinar. Yeah, so the structure of the webinar. First, we'll do a welcome. That's actually what I'm doing right now. Then Cornel, the co-host of today, will give a short introduction about the topic, which is smart cities. Then I will take over again and give you some recent news about the topic and tell you something about some interesting events that are coming up and that might be interesting for you. Then we have the speakers of today who will present something about a project that they are doing or have done related to space and smart cities. And then finally, we have Grazia from Eurisy as well to tell you something about some opportunities coming up or that are actually already open related to today's topic. And then it should be around 5 p.m. and that means the webinar for today is over. But we will continue the discussion on the Open Campus Forum, where you can discuss further on the topic, but you can also replay some earlier webinars or network with interested people. And you can find that on our website, Groundstation.Space. Then some technical stuff for today's webinar. Well, we will kindly ask you to mute your microphone, of course. But if you do want to engage in the discussion or ask questions, please use the chat. And you can also use that to introduce yourself and maybe drop your LinkedIn and start some networking. And then again, you can join the Open Campus, as I said earlier, and then yeah, enjoy the webinar. Then some short, small introduction about Groundstation.Space. That's the company where I work for. This is an open innovation network. And yeah, we started this company because we saw that there was a huge gap between space technologies and the non-space business. And we wanted to bridge this gap. And we try to do that through all kinds of events, for example, this webinar. But we also organize workshops. We have a tender desk. We try to have data access. We also have very interesting news articles on our website. So yeah, please check out our website, Groundstation.Space, and also stay connected with us through our social media channels. Then I think it's time for Cornel to tell something about Eurisy.
Yes, thank you very much, Steph. So let me just share my presentation. So hopefully you can see it.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So very short on Eurisy. So we are a non-profit association based in Paris. We raise awareness of satellite applications. And yeah, our objective is to bridge space and non-space. So yeah, facilitating the dialogue between space and non-space communities. And we have a large network across Europe of space agencies and space organizations. So if you would like to join a network, please feel free to visit our website and to contact us. So previously on our Space for Climate webinar series, we covered the topic of water resources. So if you would like to have an overview of that session, you can also visit our website and have a look at this recap article, where you can also find all the presentations and the link to the recordings. So now turning on the topic of today. just stating a few interesting facts about cities, about urbanization. So cities cover today about 3% of the land on Earth, which is, well, not a lot, but they produce about 72% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. And they're growing fast. So by 2050, it's estimated that almost 85% of Europeans will be living in cities. So nowadays, the smart city topic has emerged as a major policy area in most European countries. And actually, the European Commission is also on a mission to make at least 100 or cities climate neutral by 2030. So climate neutral means both reducing the gas emissions, but also bringing positive effects. So yeah, improving green areas, so really carbon sinks inside cities. And this is within the larger strategy of Europe to make Europe a green and digital place. And of course, this is also within the setting of the European Green Deal, with the underlying objective to have Europe as climate neutral by 2050. Now, how can space be of added value in this development? So this month we will have the first batch of the Cassini hackathons. So how to rely on satellite data, and the focus is this month on digitizing green spaces, so green areas in urban environments. So if you would like to get some inspiration, I advise you to have a look at our Space for Cities initiative, which is one of our most extensive thematic areas at Eurisy. So for instance, a few months ago, we had a full workshop on smart cities. So this image is also linked to that report. So you will have access to all the slides. So you can have a look at your own time at this report. And here I just list a few examples of what satellite applications can do for smart cities. So from monitoring air quality to urban planning, making energy more efficient. So there's a lot of examples, and you can also have a look at our Space for Cities brochure for more examples. And also this image is linked to one of our articles on this topic. And then finally, I also mention our database of success stories. So on our website, you can find within the smart cities area a lot of use cases. So all these here listed on the slide are also linked to the specific story. And yeah, I also referred to the publication that we had about 10 success stories of smart cities. So one of them is, for instance, a public health service in London. It's called AirText, and it relies on Copernicus data, and it alerts citizens whenever air pollution is high. So it's just one of the examples of space solutions within cities, smart cities, and to make cities more climate neutral. So yeah, with this, I would like to hand it back over now to Steph for some news.
Yes, thank you, Cornel, for this interesting introduction about today's topic. Before we go over to our speakers of today, I will quickly tell you something about some recent news and events about today's topic. It is a really hot topic, and there's a lot of going on, but I only have limited time, so I will quickly go over this. So first, the Galileo and Copernicus Masters, which is a prize each year that is handed over to some great ideas. And last year there were a lot of great winners related to urban and use of space data herein. So if you're interested in this, please check out the website of the Galileo and Copernicus Masters. And you can also look back the slides of this webinar later on our Open Campus and click on the links to learn more about this. Then each year there is a list or a study about the smartest cities and the governments. So if you want to know if your city is in this list, please check out this website. Then there is a collaboration between Abu Dhabi and Singapore challenging you to come up with great innovative ideas related to this topic. So if you have a good idea and if you're really smart, do not hesitate to check out this Open Innovation Challenge. And there's also an Open Innovation Challenge from Space Hub. So again, if you're really smart and you have a great idea, check this out. There, as you can see, there are only 12 days left, so hurry up. Then some events that are coming up. We have the Geospatial World Forum in Amsterdam, this 3-day event. So it might be actually a physical event, so that's really interesting. So if you like the topic, please check this out and register. Then we have the Smart Cities Marketplace Forum. This is part of the EU Green Week, happening online at the 9 and 10 of June. Also, the link is in the slide. And then last but not least, we have the Space Wisdom for Smart Cities Roundtable, which is a really interesting event with a discussion about the use of space data for smart cities. There will be policymakers, there will be businesses. And there's actually still one spot free at the roundtable. So if you think you can contribute to this roundtable and you have something interesting to say and you like this discussion, please reach out to us, and then we can see if you can get a spot on the table. But for all others, please register and have a look at the discussion. And then next week, we also have a webinar, of course, which is about space for sustainable tourism. And I think from tomorrow on, you can register for this event. Then I will hand it back over to Cornel, who will present the speakers.
Yes, perfect. Thanks, Steph. So our first speaker of the day is Otto Fabius. He specializes in applying concepts of artificial intelligence and data analysis to solve real-world problems. At Sobold, he works on various innovations on the intersection of data, AI, and sustainable impact, as well as Earth observation data, which can be used to gather all kinds of useful information on the environment and human landscape, such as finding the potential for green energy and improving climate resilience. So now I invite Otto to tell us more about that and how this all translates into action.
Thank you very much, Cornel. Yeah, I'd love to tell you a bit more about smart cities with Earth observation and AI, at least from our perspective at Sobold. My name is Otto. I work at Sobold in Rotterdam. We develop innovations in sustainability in the broadest sense of the word. And for this, we typically use remote sensing data from above, from close up, from inside, from outside. And to get the maximum amount of information from all of this data, we apply deep learning algorithms and artificial intelligence. So super general, what does that mean in practice? One example where we leverage remote sensing and AI is in nature monitoring. And we see on the left aerial imagery of a nature area in the province of Overijssel. And what we can do using deep learning and AI is that we can automatically, with a relatively high degree of certainty, say what type of nature is at what location. And this gives us the opportunity to monitor really large areas in nature on a regular basis, yearly or even semi-yearly, and provide more frequent insight into the developments in nature. So a bit closer to smart cities is that we have been using Earth observation to quantify heat islands. So I think a lot of the attendees here will be will know the urban heat island effect, where especially where there's a lot of built environment and not much green, cities tend to heat up disproportionately in the summer, and heat can get trapped there. And by measuring this and locating, let's say, hospitals or nursing homes, we can identify the vulnerable groups and really integrate this into urban planning for the city of the future. And one way that we use Earth observation quite a lot is for optimal use of urban space. Typically in the sustainability context, as I mentioned, that's where we're most active. So a very busy slide, but what we're very good at is analyzing rooftops. So looking at rooftops from above, there's a lot of information on rooftops that you can gather. And rooftops are one of the largest unused spaces in cities, because almost every square meter, especially in the Netherlands, has its use, of course. But on rooftops, there's still, if you don't have a roof terrace, a lot of space that goes unused. And the most straightforward way, of course, to use this is by placing solar panels. And by not only identifying rooftops that are suitable, but also calculating the potential, we can really help people, well, for their personal use, but also policymakers in cities to identify areas or target groups where there is a lot to be gained, and help them develop either solar rooftops, or in terms of climate adaptation, green rooftops and water rooftops are also becoming very popular. And even combinations of these are possible as well. But it all starts with gathering the information on what the potential is of each roof, and turning that into actionable information for whatever goals you might have. One topic I'd like to talk a little longer about is how we apply the same concept to help develop solar carports in cities. So solar carports, of course, are a way to leverage carports for solar energy as well. Not only does it provide energy, but it also provides shade to cars. In the Netherlands, I think Bloemendaal might be one of the more well-known examples. Of course, it's ideal to have a lot of energy on a sunny day, especially if there are a lot of electrical cars under this, which might be the case in the future. And there's nothing better than stepping in a cool car after a sunny day at the beach. So that's an added bonus. And of course, in cities, there are a lot of car parks, but typically, even the municipality does not really know exactly which car parks are where. Of course, not all of them are owned by the municipality, by the city. So different owners might own different car parks. They might be part of an industrial terrain, or they might be private parking. They might be part of a large office tower. But there's a lot of potential there for solar in the city. And the first step is localizing these parking lots. Using AI, we can scan the city from above with remote sensing data and identify all the parking lots in the Netherlands. And that's, of course, the first step to determining where you might actually be able to build a business case. The second step is that we calculate the yield. So simulating the path of the sun during the day, as you can see here. The yellow parts in the middle animation are the parts where the sun falls. So you see longer shadows in the morning, then a high sun during the day, and longer shadows in the evening. And you can see already the beginnings of a solar carport in the middle, where you, in this case, see quite a lot of yellow, which means it's quite a suitable spot to place a solar carport. That's only one piece of the puzzle, of course. You need to know what kind of solar carport would you build, so you can estimate the costs. And of course, there's lots of small factors, such as, is there a suitable place to the energy grid nearby, and what are the exact what's the exact layout of the carport. All of that together helps us build a business case. So here you see in our application, which you can actually visit if you like, parkthesun.com. One example in the Diergaarde Blijdorp in Rotterdam. One of the things you can calculate is the terugverdientijd, or the time it takes for an investment to yield its returns. I think solar panels have an average lifespan of around 20 years, so this one would be right on the edge of what would be a reasonable business case. And you see on the south and on the east side of this carport is quite some potential for shade. So I think that's the reason here why it's not optimal. Under perfect conditions in the Netherlands, you can get down to about 12 or 13 years to get your full investment, return on investment. And the rest would be return on investment in positive numbers. So this is really how we start from Earth observation and end with a concrete business case for lots of different parkings in the city, and help municipalities achieve their sustainable goals within the limited space that they have in city limits. That's what I'd like to highlight. Of course, I encourage you to learn more if you like. You can send questions in the chat here. Visit us at sobol.com or LinkedIn. And of course, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have by email myself as well. I think I'm shorter than planned, Cornel, but I'm sure planning is always pretty tight. So
indeed, perfect. Right on time. So indeed, as you mentioned, I will invite again the audience to use the chat for any questions. Yeah, if there are any questions for you, just use the chats to write them down, and we can address them after all the presentations. So thanks again, Otto. Now let's continue for the next speaker. So now we move on to Thomas. So Thomas Krohne works as a marketing specialist for the ESA Downstream Gateway, where he supports the team with market analysis and outreach activities regarding downstream applications for non-space sectors. And prior to this, Thomas held a similar role within the Directorate of Telecommunications and Integrated Applications, supporting application projects. And he was also active in the satellite communications industry as a market analyst, and he has an academic background in business administration and marketing. So today he will talk us through various projects of the ESA Downstream Gateway. So Thomas, please go ahead.
You're still on mute, Thomas, I guess.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Sorry.
Perfect.
Sorry about that. So yeah, thanks, Cornel, for the introduction. So hi, everyone. My name is Thomas Krohne. So I work for the Downstream Gateway in ESA. Perhaps before I go into the kind of smart city projects and some of the opportunities that we are offering within ESA, I can give you a bit of an introduction on what is the Downstream Gateway. So we're basically kind of a central function within ESA, focusing on business analysis and marketing, specifically towards the analysis and marketing towards these non-space sectors. So you can see some of these verticals in the little table there where we focus on. And we do that through market intelligence. And the idea of our work is that we are kind of in close connection with the programs within ESA that are really developing the projects. So we do these cross-program initiative and activities. And as I said, it's a kind of sector-specific approach that we take. So what are we trying to achieve by these kind of actions is really to understand who are those new actors, what are those new business models, new trends, new networks, and yeah, how can space contribute? So, and how can we do common outreach activities, which in return can support the connections, making connections with the programs within ESA who are enabling the R&D and projects activities. So more specifically, so what kind of what kind of activities can you think of? So we do some webinars around which we've done on COVID, but also around on smart cities. We do some daily dedicated workshops. So we've done in the past on finance, cultural heritage, intelligent health, and also in energy. And then we also have a central website where which is kind of a portal where we gather all the opportunities within downstream, within ESA, and also have some content to share on different articles related to downstream. Perhaps some of the projects that have been ongoing within ESA, I can give you a bit of an overview on some examples. So on one side, it's of course the air quality, and we have one project which is it's kind of a toolkit, which is an air quality platform, where it's developed by our Earth observation colleagues.
Sorry, Thomas, sorry to interrupt you, but I get some comments here that the sound is sometimes interrupted. So maybe if you could just fix your microphone a bit, because we have some issues with sound
Okay.
I'm not sure if you can change microphone, or it's just not very stable, the sound, but.
Oh, right. Okay.
I mean, we can hear you, so if there's no other option.
Yeah, maybe I can take the microphone out and the headphones out. Is this better, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so as I was saying, some of the examples around air quality. So one is the APQ platform, air quality platform, which is developed by our colleagues in the Earth Observation Directorate. It's basically a toolkit which, in combination, in collaboration with schools, students can put together, and they can kind of cross-reference it with a central server, which is the ESA, which kind of overlays some of the satellite data. And from there, the real purpose of this kind of project is to kind of educate students on the importance of air quality, and how satellite data, together with these in situ sensors, can help in mapping that air quality. And then on the other side, we also see an example which is done in the past by one of our colleagues within the programs, is how air quality can also be cross-referenced and integrated with traffic and modeling and traffic forecasting tools. So and this could be very interesting, of course, to understand which areas of the city the air quality is at its highest or at its worst. And that could support municipalities in developing congestion charges within the cities. There's some other examples around smart infrastructure and environment. So we also had projects in the past where it's more on the infrastructure monitoring. So it's kind of using GPS and GLONASS together in kind of and INSAR data to monitor landslides of bridges, pipelines, and other structures. And then also another project is around forestry. So it's looking at developing a forestry information service where together with satellite data and STAR data, you can monitor natural planted forest growth and forest losses due to human activities. And then one of the last activities, which is currently ongoing, which is around green buildings. And there you can kind of see it's a feasibility study that was launched, and the idea of the feasibility is to invite companies to participate in the study. And one of the subtopics was looking at thermal imaging of buildings. And I think Otto mentioned about the urban heat island effects, and that very much kind of falls into this kind of area as well. So in terms of opportunities, which are currently open and are related to smart cities, so within one of the programs there is a tender that is currently open, and that's around circular economies. And it's a kickstart activity, so it's basically a 6-month kickstart where you assess the feasibility from a technical perspective, and also from a commercial sustainable perspective. And it's around one of the subtopics is around the circularity of cities, and that is basically looking into how can satellite data help map and use digital twinning and AI technologies in support of city planning and resource management. I also put the link there for after the networking to please have a look at the more detailed information on the call. And then some other programs also, of course, have some permanently open calls. So if you have an idea which perhaps doesn't fit the scope that I just discussed on this ITT, then of course also very much welcome to always send your ideas through towards the permanently open call. And just general also as well, so these are some of the downstream or commercial, let's say, programs that we are internally working closely with. So as you can see, also for the networking, there is also links to these each programs, which kind of provide a bit more detail on the nature of these downstream programs. So again, I invite you to have a look at those, and it will give you a bit of an idea of what program might be right for you and what kind of funding there is available specifically towards your idea. Yes, and that was my presentation. And please have a look at our website as well for any more information regarding downstream articles, opportunities, and yes, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Thomas. And yeah, may I just remind the audience again to use the chat. So for any questions, maybe also for the calls, it could be interesting. I mean, it seems like a great opportunity, and this event is also for you, for the audience. So you can just take up the opportunity, and if you have any questions, please use the chat. So now let's move on to the third speaker of the day. So now we have Antoine Lefebvre. He is the co-founder and CEO of Kermap. And he graduated with a PhD in 2011, specializing in image processing and geographic information. He has several years of experience in French public research institutes such as CNES and also abroad. And he has also more than 3 years of experience as R&D project manager in the private sector. Antoine is currently in charge of the development of innovative products at Kermap. And yeah, so you can now present that. So Antoine, I leave the floor to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for the short presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. Is it okay now? Yes?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. So when I prepared this presentation, I was thinking about how to present you some advantages of satellite imagery in our solutions. So I was thinking about how a solution can solve local problem, but also can be global. And also one of the main advantages of satellite imagery is to be scalable. It's because satellite imagery are homogeneous, continuous, and you can get the same kind of data anywhere. If you are like in a small city, I will talk to you later, is a city in France named Montpellier, but also in a whole country, like in France, and also in any other city in the world. So you can design one solution who can fit after many needs. So I will start at this. I will present you 3 different use cases at 3 different scales. So the first one is at the city scale. We worked for a city named Montpellier in the south of France, a mid-sized city, and we delivered to them 3 products: a kind of high-resolution vegetation data, a monitoring of their urban heat island, and also a mapping of what we used to say local climate zone. I will detail it a little bit later. First, we find out that a lot of cities need more precise information about their vegetation, because we can see that most of the cities have some data who are not enough, I will not say reliable, but they are too much coarse, they are not have fine details. Today, cities want to have some information about the public domain, but also the private domain. And if you compare here these 2 first data, is some data you can see here at the national level in France for free, and here it's at the European scale for free for main mid-sized cities. You can see that you have not so much information about the vegetation of your city. You can have just some big part, but a lot of is missing, and especially in the private properties. So if you want to work in kind of climate modeling, if you want to know how much carbon your city can store, you need some much more fine information about the vegetation. That's why we develop some high resolution data set to monitor precisely your vegetation. So what this is a kind of a result we can get with we provide to cities at the moment. And here is a kind of a more large view of the result. You can see you got all the information about trees in the public domain, private one. We can have individual.
And we lost you there. Antoine, are you still with us? No sound. So maybe we can just come back to you later, and then we can just maybe go to the questions for now. So yeah, this can happen, of course. So hopefully he will come back to us. So yeah, I saw one question in the chat. So this question is for Otto. So the question is the financial return the only incentive for cities to invest in? So you gave the example of the Blijder project. So yeah, this question is for Otto.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Martijn. Definitely not, I think, is the answer. Municipalities and cities tend to be most interested in actual sustainability and sustainable goals from this perspective. But the business case is a very important tool to actually help them realize this, especially since many of the car parks in cities are not owned by the city. So they have to work together with organizations, sometimes private, to realize this. And often they are not aware of any business case. But of course, if the numbers are positive, it's much easier for the municipality and the owners of a carport to realize this together. So that's why it's such an emphasis in the application. There's lots of numbers in there if you wanna check it out for yourself, I guess.
Okay, thanks a lot. So maybe we can see if we can get back to Antoine now. So Antoine.
Yes, I'm so sorry about it.
No
I don't know what happened. We lost the connection, I think.
Probably, yeah. This can happen. So not a problem.
I don't know, because I was continuing talking, so I don't know where where we have to
yeah,
continue.
certainly. Yeah, it just dropped out. So
okay, so yes, just move. And so what we also so many cities ask us to provide is like, can we monitor the urban e-Thailand of their cities? And we used to say to them, yes, we can in some it's not so easy to do it, but we have some satellite images who can provide some information about the surface temperature during the day and also during the night. And that's what we have here in all time on the city of Montpellier. And what is very interesting to see is the relationship between this temperature and also the land cover. And we can see that when you have individual houses with garden, you have lower temperatures than when you have some high-rise building. And that's this kind of information is very important for for cities to have some real action, to take some decision about how we can put more green areas in specific districts. And that's what we can do after when we combine vegetation data, temperature information, and we can group kind of district where we have to put a priority to make the city, the district greener, and where you have, put the priority. That's what we used to do. And then I told you we moved to different scales, and so we developed a tool named a website named Nos Villes Vertes, and now you can, for France, you can put the name of a city and you can get many information, many insight of any city in France based on this kind of satellite information. And this is a real showcase for our company, because with this kind of insight, any cities can find out that the satellite images provide some interesting information, and then they contact us to have further information and to have some more specific studies about their own cities. So this is available, is for free, and it's provide a lot of leads commercial leads to our for our business. And we are doing at the moment the same at a global scale. It will be released probably during the summer. It's a project named Clover, where we monitor many cities in the world based on satellite images with Pléiade sensors. This has been made with the collaboration of the French Space Agency. And as I said at the beginning, you can compare many cities with the same kind of index, with the same kind of data. So these data are comparable, and you can have some homogeneous results. So you can select the city. We have kind of 25 cities in the world. You got this information about vegetation, trees, and also grass. And we compute also some index. What we find out is our client have not a lot of availability to manage satellite images. So we find out that what they want is kind of a dashboard. So we have to process satellite images and to deliver the result, not just as a simple database, but also as a dashboard that they can access through an API or through a website. And this makes a big difference about how to use satellite data. And here, so you have many indexes. And well, so I'm sorry, I'm a bit disturbed about this the connection who have been stopped. So I just can finish to present our company with 3 years old. Today we are 15 people with many skills like in R&D and image processing, in web development. And yes, so feel free to contact us if you are interested to have more details in what I just present to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Antoine, and sorry for the interruption, but yeah. I'm glad it all worked out, so that's fine. And actually, there's one question for you, I noticed. The question is as follows: so, is the platform Clover public available?
Not at the moment. We are finalizing the platform, but it will be available for free probably this summer. The thing is, we work on this project with the French Space Agency, and we cannot have any commercial services based on this website. So one strong action we wanted to do is all the data we process will be downloadable for free as well. So you can download the whole data set.
All right, perfect. So I don't see any questions for now. There's one more, I think. A follow-up question from Martin. So let me just check. So how did he got the right indicators from cities? So yeah, maybe Martin, if you want to elaborate, you can just take the floor for the question.
Yeah, Anton, thanks for the presentation. I was just wondering, because I learned recently that getting the right indicators, so what should be measured and what can be measured, do not always align. So can you tell something more about the process, about how you got from the cities the right KPIs which you had to provide based on your satellite imagery or satellite data sets?
Okay. So there's two things. All the index and the insight we show on some web platform is a kind of simple insight, is just to show what we can get easily from satellite images. And after, when we worked with different cities, we try to match their needs. And what we can see is cities have different needs, and it can change from one city to another one. And like for example, one city is they want an index to be able to monitor, to never have a lower percentage of vegetation inside the city. Each time they will build new construction, they want to keep the same proportion of vegetation in the city. So they want to monitor very precisely how much grass and how much trees they have. It can be such kind of index. I don't know if I replied properly to your question.
Yes, I was just interested, how did you get access to the concise needs of cities? If you can elaborate, then I understand, but because that's not an easy question to answer.
Yes, but the need of the cities is it's a kind of a job that when you met each cities, each of people who have some decision to take. Each cities is kind of different. In France, for example, many cities really take care about the urban e-island, and they find out that the many districts are not green enough, and they are thinking how we can put more green areas in this district. And so they have a project about, I want my cities, it should be greener in the next 5 or 10 years. But when they find out this first question, they realize they got another problem. They don't know how much green is their city at the moment. So first we have to just tell them, look, your city is like that. You have a lot of vegetation within the private domain, in the public domain. And just with such kind of information for them is already very important. And after, it really depends about what they want to do with this kind of information. Some people is like in Paris, they wanted to know, they wanted to give some subsidies to people who will plant trees in their own garden. And after they wanted to know, can we monitor if the people really put a tree in their garden? We want to be sure about that. You know, is another information they want to get. So it really can change from one city to another one. But many of them have also some same needs. It's just first to have a status, like initial state of their city, and about how much vegetation I have in my city is the main information they want. They want a very precise information, and that they have not at the moment.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, perfect. So I think we are approaching the end of the webinar. So I would now like to hand it over to my colleague Grazia, who will present some funding calls and innovation opportunities. So Grazia, please, you can have the floor now.
Thank you, Cornel. So as you said, I will just, I'm looking for the way to share my screen. Just a second. I will present a few funding opportunities and give some information about the websites where you can find those. Oh my God, why can't I share? Can't I find? Just a second.
If you want, I can also share the slides.
No, I have, I think, too many windows open, actually. There it is.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so there. The European Commission has a web page and that you can see up there, and I think this presentation will be made available with a list of funding opportunities, especially taught for local administrations. These are programs of the European Commission. The biggest one are the European Structural and Investment Funds. And there are a number of issues and themes that are covered by this funding scheme, in particular for regions, for social and economic cohesion, for rural development, and for maritime and fisheries. The European Fund for Strategic Investment is funded by the European Commission and the European Investment Bank, and they provide a number of funding opportunities for strategic investments, meaning mainly targeting infrastructure. The European investment project portals boost the visibility of EU-based projects and help finding potential investors. So this is a very good way of finding investors in case you have an innovation idea. Urban innovative actions are also provide resources to test new solutions to address urban challenges. So here, I mean, there is no limit to the kind of technology that you can use, and that can include, of course, space-based data. URBACT is a program to exchange and learn about innovation for sustainable urban development. It has quite a big budget, and it's open to all European countries as well. Horizon 2020, I guess it's a funding scheme that you all know very well, that is about to end in 2020. While LIFE supports specifically environment, nature conservation, and climate action projects. So I found two calls that are not immediately related to space, but that address cities and towns, and in which I believe that you could come up with some innovative ideas to include some satellite-based component like a GIS or an app for citizen engagement. So even if it says forthcoming, actually the two calls are already published. And the deadline is the 26th of August of 2021. These are funded under the SERV program, so Citizens, Equality, Rights and Values. And their aim is to support the sharing of European values and information about cultural heritage and culture in general, with an accent on the promotion of human rights and European values, so social inclusion, non-discrimination, and so on. So this is the wide scope of the two calls. So the two calls are focused, one on twinning, meaning that they address two cities who already have an agreement of collaboration and want to have funds to better structure this collaboration. Where the second one aims at creating a network of towns, which is expected to exchange among an issue related to culture and European values. So the two have as a deadline the 26th of August. And this is the budget for the two of them. They both provide lump sum grants, and they're both single stage, so there are no lots. For the Towns initiative, there is a budget of a little less than 3 million euros. But while for the town networking project, there is a budget of 4,200,000 euros. So we look now at the town twinning grant. So the scope is to support projects bringing together a wide range of partner towns in a town twinning event around topics in line with the objectives of the program, so citizens, equality, rights and values, and taking into consideration policy priorities. So they talk about mobilizing citizens at local and union levels to debate on concrete issues. So of course, and now we will go to the actions, this can be done through workshops, sharing platforms, but you can think about including apps to collect feedback or to collect good practices about culture and promotion of human rights in Europe. So the eligible participants need to be legal entities, public or private bodies, and be established in EU member states or in the non-member states listed in the EEA countries and countries associated with the program. Or you can be a public body or a non-for-profit organization. Towns, municipalities, and other levels of local authorities of their twinning committees or other non-profit organizations representing local authorities. In this case, applications are allowed only by single applicants, but you can apply to both calls, but you have to respond and you have to do 2 bids. You cannot make 1 bid for the 2. For the town twinning, you must involve municipalities from at least 2 eligible countries, or of which at least 1 is a EU member state. So you can also involve a city or a town outside the European Union. For the town twinning project, the activities can include workshops, seminars, conferences, trainings, expert meetings, webinars, awareness-raising activities, data gathering and consultation, exchanges and dissemination of good practices amongst public authorities and civil society organizations, and the development of communications tools and the use of social media. So the impact here is to increase and encourage mutual understanding and friendship between a diverse range of citizens at the local level, to involve a diverse range of citizens from local communities' experience and recognize the added value of the EU that the EU provides through grassroots approach. This is for the town twinning. For the network of towns, the themes and priorities are EU citizenship rights, combating discrimination and racism, inclusion of minorities, the EU Charter on Fundamental Rights, and reflecting on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the local communities. Also in this case, the activities that can be funded are workshops, seminars, conference, training activities, data gathering and consultation, exchanging and dissemination of good practices. And here I invite you to think about apps, geolocating experiences, organizations promoting human rights, and I mean good practices in general. Here the proposal must be submitted by a consortium of at least 5 applicants, which are entities, which are municipalities from at least 5 eligible countries, of which at least 3 are EU member states. So also in this case, you can involve different, cities that are not in the EU. So all this information is on the website of the Commission. And then I found a call that is mapped as forthcoming, and it should have been published already, but actually, the text is not there yet. This is a call for companies working with data management, so with satellite data management in particular. And it's interesting for us to know that the Copernicus Emergency Management System plans to have a layer on global human settlements. So the call should have been published in April 2021. I repeat, the text is not there yet, but the date limit for application is the 9th of April 2022, meaning that if you work in an organization which has the kind of skills to develop such a layer for the Copernicus Emergency Management System, you have quite a lot of time actually to apply for the call. So here you see a little description of the service. So here the contract aims at collecting high quality and standardized data about the status of human settlements and their dynamics, both in terms of built up areas and population. So also here I invite you to go on the website of JRC. And maybe, if you want, contact them directly in case you're interested to know when the text of the call will be published. As you can see here, the budget is quite big, and is €2,500,000 for the total value of the contract. So as for the upcoming events, this is something that has been already mentioned, that on the 9th and 10th of June, there will be a forum of the European Commission Smart Cities Marketplace. For those of you who are not familiar, this is an initiative of the European Commission to bring together cities, service providers, and investors. The idea is to present innovative ideas of projects integrating new technologies for urban development and urban sustainability, and to expose these project ideas to investors who might fund the development of such projects. Eurisy participates in the marketplace since a few years with an initiative that is called Geospatial Cities, which basically aims at disseminating the findings of our Space for Cities initiative, so on what you do with satellite applications to concrete examples. And we mainly do awareness raising, but we also put in touch service providers and cities. You can all participate to the event. This is the agenda for the 9th of June. So it will be pretty much focused on the Green Deal. So we will talk about clean mobility, energy, climate change. And this is the agenda for the 10th that will focus on national smart cities strategies and circular economy. The second event that actually Eurisy is going to contribute to is an event in preparation of the UN World Data Forum that will take place in October in Bern. And in preparation of this meeting, there is a session organized on the 17th of June, to which Eurisy will participate with a presentation on its Space for Cities initiative on harnessing remote sensing for sustainable cities. The event is organized by Statistics Poland, the Swiss Federal Statistical Office, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Poland, and the Embassy of Switzerland in Poland. You can participate online, and the registration is free. Here, the goal is to understand how data and technologies can work together to improve the quality of life in cities. And in particular, it will focus on remote sensing technology, with the participation of the Minister of Climate and Environment of Poland. And I invite you to keep an eye on our events page on eurisy.eu, on which we communicate on the events we participate to and on the events of partners. Not all of them are on cities, of course, but I would say that a good number of those are relevant for cities. And that's all from my side. Thank you, Cornel. So I will.
Okay, thanks, Grazia. And I think I can hand it back over now to Steph to close this session.
Yes, thank you, Cornel, and thank you, Grazia. Also, big thanks to all the speakers of today, and also big thanks to all the participants of today who are still here. I see that we were a bit over time, so I will try to keep it short. Before I close off the session, once more, I would like to give you a short recap of the save the dates that they're interesting for upcoming. So next month we have the Space Opportunities for Climate Challenge, which is about sustainable tourism. Yeah, holidays coming up, the weather is getting better, and COVID is getting cases are getting lower, so that's all great. So let's hope we can all go on holiday and see what space can help us in that. Then also once more, we have the Space Wisdom for Smart Cities Roundtable on the 9th of June. So check out the ideas from .eu website and register for the event. So with that, I would like to conclude the session. But it does not end here, as I mentioned earlier. We continue the discussion on the Open Campus Forum, which you can access through forum.groundstation.space, or by going to groundstation.space and then click on the Open Campus, which you can find in the top menu. And from there, you can register, log in, and go to the relevant topics you find interesting. And there you can put in your questions, comments, look for a consortium, all things that you find interesting related to the topics. So once more, thanks a lot, and I wish you all a good day, and I hope to see you next month.
Thanks all.
Okay. Bye.